here's hopefully the whole vlog of divorce. So, as you guys know, if you were to watch the video titled Me in 14 Minutes or so from my channel, you know that my parents are divorced along with half of the other people in America. But the whole, I'll try to give you a quick rundown. Basically, you know, my original parents got divorced whenever I was 18 months old, and then my mom got remarried, and she got remarried whenever I was like 2, so, you know, another six months later, my mom was remarried, and then then whenever I turned 4, my dad got remarried, and my dad is still married to the same woman, so, and then they had a son whenever I was 10, so I have a half-brother, but I still consider him just like a real brother. But with my mom and my first stepdad, they lasted pretty much exactly 7 years, and they had a little girl, and she's my half-sister, but I consider her to be my real sister. You know, she is my real sister. I love her to death. We're so much alike, it's not even funny. But, anyways, so, but my mom and my first stepdad got divorced whenever I was 9, and then she got remarried whenever I was, let's see, it was either August or September of 2002. So I was 11, I was about 11 and a half. But during those times, you know, growing up, even during with my first stepdad and my mom, I called my first stepdad Dad. You know, I grew up with him. I knew him as Dad. I knew who my real dad was, but, you know, I called him Dad, and that's just how I grew up. I don't know what it's like to have parents who are still together. My best friend does, and my other best friend knows what it's like to have just one parent, because his mother died whenever he was in 8th grade, I think, which is a sad thing. But anyways, that's a different story. Whenever I think back about it, I don't think the realization of the fact that my parents were actually split up hit me. I don't think that thought process hit me until I was about 10 or 11. And if you guys remember in one of my other vlogs, about that age was also the first time I went into depression and I thought about suicide. I don't want to say that it's not because of the divorce, because I honestly don't know why. You know, it could have been just me growing up, or me rebelling against my mom and my second stepdad, or it could have been a number of things. I'm not denying anything. Whenever other people go through a divorce, it's hard for me to help them as much as I truly want to. It's hard for me to help them because I don't know what they want to hear, and like I said, I don't know anything different. I have no reference to, you know, this is how it was and now this is how it's going to be. I know that, you know, then you're going to have 2 places that you're going to have to visit during the holidays. You're going to get 2 holidays. You're going to hear different stories from both sides. Constantly, you know, especially if your parents don't get along like my parents do. They don't get along at all. I'm sure they want to. I'm sure they want to try, but it just doesn't seem possible. I mean, I'm constantly hearing one side of the story and then another side of the story, and they just don't match up. There's very few details that are the same. You know, that's liable to happen, and then maybe, hopefully, if you're in a good situation, your parents do get along, and they're very peaceful, and they're very loving, not only for you, but, you know, loving towards each other, keeping you in mind all the time. During a divorce, I think that needs to be the main concern of both parents and both parties, is what the kid wants. It doesn't need to be about child support. It doesn't need to be about where you think, or I should say you, but where the parents think that the child should go, where it might be more safe. It doesn't matter. I don't even think the courts need to have a right to tell a kid where they want to go. I think if a daughter wants to live with her father, all through high school or something, even though she's going through womanly things, I think that's, I don't see any problem with it. A girl might be growing up and going through certain things that maybe the father just maybe doesn't understand, but I would hope that every father would seek out answers, and hopefully the father would have been remarried and stuff, and same thing for guys. I lived with my mom growing up all the time, and then I lived with her from the time I was born basically until I was 14 years old, and I finally decided to move in with my dad. And my dad and I missed out on a lot of things that, is traditionally supposed to happen between a father and son. A lot of people like to refer to the talk, or, the sex talk. I think I had the talk, but it was more of, are you aware of this? Okay, good. Are you aware of this? Alright, that's good too, type of thing. It wasn't like, okay, this is what happened, this is what's going to happen, you're going to be pressured, things are going to happen. I honestly don't recall a time like that. It should have happened, but luckily I was aware of everything. I found my information through other sources. But don't get me wrong, my dad is an awesome dad. I love him to death. If your parents are going through a divorce, yeah, it's going to be hard. For any age, it's really hard. Especially through high school. I think any age of like 12 or under, you kind of understand what's happening, but you're not told a lot, and you're not told because the parents think that they're keeping you from something bad or something. I wish my parents would both just quit hiding stuff from me and just tell me everything, and just tell me exactly what happened and why it happened and how it happened and what led to it happening and stuff like that. And I can almost promise you that that's going to happen. I can almost promise you that your parents are going to try to keep stuff from you that they think is bad for you to know. And I don't want to tell you to badger them about trying to find out, but also keep in mind that they sometimes they're right, but sometimes they just need a slap in the face that we can handle things. I mean, we're teenagers. In my own personal opinion, and this may just be because of the fact that I'm a teenager, I think teenagers go through a lot more crap than what adults do. I really do. Emotionally, physically, mentally, we go through so much crap, it's not even funny. And adults should know that. Parents should know that. And like I said in my other vlogs, they simply don't give us enough credit. And during your teenage years, if your parents are going through a divorce, keep in mind that it is hard for them, that, one of the parents has lost their love for their best friend. I mean, imagine that. That's terrible. I don't want to go through that. I don't plan on going through that. And, it's only, first of all, you should only get into a relationship if you feel God's blessing over that relationship, and if you don't believe in God, then you really need to take your time. And you know what? My dad and my mom are both very strong in their faith, but the relationship was not for God. You can have two faithful Christians, but if the relationship itself is not for, from, and committed to God, it's not going to go anywhere. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm not denying the fact that it can't last. It's just the odds are very slim without God. I personally don't think I ever dealt with my parents going through a divorce. I think I've had some past psychological factors that contribute to the result of the divorce. But I don't think I ever sat down and evaluated myself or had someone else evaluate me and say, do you think that maybe this is because your parents are divorced? It seems normal. That's probably sad, but the last time I went to a therapist was whenever I was suicidal, and I'm sure they said that it was because of the divorce, but I don't know. One of the first things you're gonna see is someone's gonna move out. Like I said, depending on your parents, they're probably gonna fight over custody, and then they're gonna fight over money, and then they're gonna fight again over custody because they want to see you more, and then they'll probably fight over money again because they want more money because you're eating all their food. But as hard and as difficult as it may seem, one day you're going to get out on your own, and you're going to start looking for someone, and you're going to have that constant thought in the back of your head, I don't want to get divorced. And you know what? That's a good thought to have, but don't let it control your life. I'm serious. You can't keep yourself away from relationships because of fear. It's going to be stressful, and it's definitely going to be difficult at times to handle and to comprehend, and one of the biggest questions that you're going to have is why. And simply put, in every divorce situation, it's because they feel like it can't be fixed. And whenever they feel that way, then in their head there's no reason to be in the relationship anymore. Whether it's because of an affair, because of money, because of the number one cause of divorce, which is communication, whatever the so-called cause is, it all leads down to the fact that they don't think it can be fixed. So our job as the children going through the divorces, as the teenagers, even for the 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, if your parents are going through a divorce, if there's any way that you can persuade them that it in fact can be fixed, then there is your key. If you love your parents, I shouldn't say that. If you want your parents to stay together and you feel that they are meant to be together, and you see how they were before and you see that they can make it, show them that it can be fixed. Whether it's through God, which to me is the best way, or if it's through something else. I honestly don't, counseling, there's tons of stuff out there, but just try. Don't give up.